in loss, we can, and again, and not just in loss, also in loss, there can be a package of emotions that comes standard with this particular person, right? If based on the loss that one has experienced throughout one's life, you could have a standard set of five emotions that you have kind of created as a standard package every time you feel loss. And then you may pick up a couple, 5 to 10 different ones based on the nuance of that particular loss. But the standard five come along standard with each loss, again with some additional new ones based on the nuance. Welcome to the EQ Gangster podcast, where you will learn practical tools to grow your mental and emotional health and intelligence to be the best version of yourself, both at work and at home. It is real, raw, and transformational. The journey of emotional growth isn't easy, but it's worth it. I believe in you. EQ Gangsters. So I've got some thoughts here for you about helping a loved one who is grieving through that process. And here's the backstory. So my father-in-law, when I first started a relationship with my wife, he had been married. Well, when I met him, he was already on his second wife. His first wife of 20 years died of cancer. His second wife of 20 years died of cancer. And he got remarried a third time and ended up writing a book called I Didn't Know What to Say. And the reason he wrote a book called I Didn't Know What to Say is after both deaths of his first wife and then of his second wife, both times his social circle disappeared. So what's an interesting dynamic about when people go through hard times is because most people aren't trained on this stuff. And what he said was when he talked to his friends that all ghosted him years later, dude, where'd you go? Why'd you leave me hanging? Why did you completely ghost me after my first wife died, after my second wife died? They all said individually, I didn't know what to say. So if you really want the full meal deal, Holyfield, go check out his book. You get it on Amazon. And it's called I Didn't Know What to Say. And he said the reason he didn't write a book on grieving, he said there's a lot of great books out there on grieving, but he said I hadn't seen a whole lot of books out there on how do you help a loved one work through and walk through times of grieving and mourning and loss. So that's going to be the episode for today. And I've got some notes. So those of y'all on YouTube, you see me looking down. I'm looking at my laptop, going through my notes and stuff. Before I do that, I want to go through things I'm thankful for. So I'm thankful for challenges. I'm thankful for adversity. I'm thankful for the gift of learning. I'm thankful for the gift of growth and change. I'm thankful for grace and mercy and forgiveness and love and patience. I'm thankful for bridges. I'm thankful for water. I'm thankful for trees. I'm thankful for seasons, the 4 seasons. I'm thankful for the sun. I'm thankful for birds. I am thankful for animals. I'm thankful for family. I'm thankful for friends. I am thankful for life after death. I'm thankful for the things that happen to us in life that we can't explain, that science can't explain. I'm thankful for different perspectives. I'm thankful for the ability to dream and set goals. So I'm thankful for coffee mugs. So, okay, how do you help someone go through tough times? So Here are a couple thoughts. Just yesterday, I had two specific coaching sessions with clients that were very, very intense. The first one was intense. The client is very self-aware, which is a huge it's awesome for two reasons. One, it makes the coaching session go a lot easier when the client is more self-aware because they're self-aware, and they're able to make connections a lot easier than those of us that are still working on our self-awareness. I mean, I think all of us can work on it, but for those of us that are still working on our self-awareness, it's not always easy. I'm still going through kind of a 2-month funk now, and it's not super easy because I'm still growing my self-awareness. So I'm having, it just takes longer to dig and reflect and think and pray and ask God, okay, God, show me the different areas I got to work on and that kind of thing. So and that first session was fairly intense because the client was making some really deep, powerful connections that we started to work through. The second session was very, very intense, very, very intense. One of this leader's team members, one of the leaders had an incredibly tragic, traumatic, life-altering experience. And so anyway, so how do you help somebody that is going through a difficult time? And loss can be something that I learned from my father-in-law, again, from who wrote the book. I didn't know what to say. David Knapp is his name, Knapp, David Knapp. So if you want stuff on grieving and how to help someone through grieving, his ministry is called Grief Relief Ministries. And I think it's griefreliefministries.com. And he said loss can come in all shapes and sizes. So it can be loss of a job, it can be loss of a pet, it can be loss of a relationship, it can be loss of a friend, loss of a marriage, loss of a friend's life, right, that maybe passes away. So loss can come in all shapes, sizes, colors, experiences, right? There's a lot of varieties of loss, and so that's one thing. The other thing too that I wrote down, some things I wrote down about loss is in terms of emotions. The emotional experience is the intensity of people's emotions will vary in loss. The wave of emotions varies. The package of emotions varies. So, and what I mean by that is I've kind of talked about this concept a handful of times in the podcast. When someone, and this is not, it's not exclusive to loss. This can be when you have something good happen as well. When you have, I've got a whole theory on this whole thing. I'm sure someone a lot smarter than me has already done research on this stuff. That in loss, we can, and again, not just in loss, but also in loss, there can be a package of emotions that comes standard with this particular person, right? If based on the loss that one has experienced throughout one's life, you could have a standard set of 5 emotions that you have kind of created as a standard package every time you feel loss. And then you may pick up a couple, 5 to 10 different ones based on the nuance of that particular loss. But the standard 5 come along standard with each loss, again, with some additional new ones based on the nuance. So that's what I mean by package of emotions. So there may be sadness, there may be anger, there may be frustration, there may be disappointment, there may be rejection, there may be abandonment that are just standard. But that's important to know. What is that what is that? What is that package? But again, that package may vary, again, based on the nuance of that particular loss. Okay, the next one is the timing of emotions varies. So, you may be, I say your friend, your loved one may be fine for 2 or 3 hours. And then, man, in the middle of a conversation, middle of the day, middle of laughing, they could just get body slammed with a wave of emotions. And then the next minute, they're bawling, they're crying, they're, you know, trying to punch the wall, whatever, right? So they just get slammed by emotions. So emotions can come at whenever they want to. So, and the important thing is, so here's some thoughts here. Oh, this is another huge, huge, huge point. What I would encourage, do emotional prep work on yourself before entering into an emotionally unstable or emotionally intense environment. If you have the opportunity to do some emotional prep work, so for example, and I'm not going to go through this whole exercise, but because I've done episodes on this before, is do some emotional forecasting. I've talked about that before. So kind of anticipate. So even if it's you pull up to the funeral home, for example, right? Or you pull up to your friend's house that's going through grieving, or you've got an appointment to call them at, in 30 minutes. Do that emotional prep work and forecast, anticipate what emotions might you and they experience when on that phone call, at the funeral home, uh, at the scene of the accident or the crime or whatever, right? Do some of that emotional prep work to prep yourself so that you can walk into that phone call, that one-on-one, that time with them in the most calm, peaceful, present, stable, predictable place possible, so that you can hold that space for them without riding their emotional roller coaster that they're inevitably riding. And now you can just be calm and peaceful and present and emotionally available for them. You can validate and affirm their emotions, which is another massive thing to do when they're in this space. Validate and affirm their emotions. You can validate and affirm their emotions without agreeing with them and without experiencing the intensity of those emotions like they are. Those are big, big points there. Next thing. So be available, be present, be loving, be gracious, be patient, be calm, be steady and predictable, and be curious. So again, what I got from my dad is lean into it. Talk about the elephant in the room. So don't be the friend that says, man, I didn't know what to say. And so you ghost them for 3 months or 2 months or 2 weeks or 2 hours. Like, be curious. So, and don't do any trite platitudes or cliches. Oh, they're in a better place, or, oh, at least they lived a good life. None of that is helpful in the moment. None of that is helpful. Be curious. Talk about the elephant in the room. Not, well, how are you feeling? Well, how do you think I'm feeling? I'm a train wreck. I'm sucking like a Kirby vacuum. I'm doing terrible. I'm miserable. So rather than say, hey, how you doing? Well, right, because we all know the answer to that. Do you mind if I ask you some questions? Yeah, dude, sure. Now, here's another dynamic. The closer you are to the actual stimulus point of the loss, so if their spouse just died, their pet just died, right? If you walked in on that scenario, so it's the event happened, or that, they just had the breakup and you walked in the room or walked in the door, they're immediately experiencing the shock. The less you talk and the more you just need to be present and listen. And if even need be, ask questions. But that's not the time for the trite platitudes and that kind of thing. So, and then over time, as time passes, whether it's hours or days, now start engaging more with questions, talking about the elephant in the room. So what do I mean by that? Because that's all they're thinking about anyway. So rather than avoiding, hey, let's talk about something else. No, let's talk about it. Help them process their pain by asking questions, by being curious. Again, and with grace and patience. Grace and patience. Okay. So boom. All right. The other thing is, okay, so here's some actual things to say. So once I say, hey, do you mind if I ask you some questions about your pain? I'd love to hear and better understand the pain that you're feeling. Like, tell me about it. I want to understand it. Tell me about the pain and hurt that you're feeling. What are the nuances of the pain? What emotions are attached to the pain? If you were to describe your pain, like describe your pain to me, I just want to understand it. Again, this is all just to help them process. And again, you're just listening. There's no judgment, right? You can't judge somebody else's pain or trauma. Just listen and understand. And again, validate and affirm. Like, man, like the one yesterday, I got emotional. I don't know how you couldn't get emotional with the, they were going through incredibly traumatic experience. The leader's leader was going through an incredibly traumatic experience. And I'm like, and I told him, I said, dude, and not, this is not Noble's opinions. This is based on science and research and stuff I've heard and stuff and read, that this particular type of loss is like in the top 1 or 2 most traumatic losses that a human being can possibly experience. And so, and I said, dude, that's brutal. I can't even, it's hard to wrap my own head around that. That is the ultimate trauma for a human being to experience. And then I ask questions. How is your leader doing? How are you doing? How is your team doing? Your company doing? Because of the whole company knows the leader that this happened to. How's your company doing? How are you helping your company collectively process this experience? Because everyone's impacted by it. Everybody's impacted by it to different degrees and and one of those is just allowing them to talk about it, creating space, creating a time in the schedule to talk about, hey guys, how are we all doing about this? What are you thinking about this? How are you feeling about this? How can we help and support this particular leader specifically through this time and season? Ask these questions, talk about this stuff. Okay, another one. So now if I'm talking to the person who experiences the loss, what do you miss the most about that person, that relationship? What do you miss? Talk about the elephant in the room. And again, depending on the timing and stuff too, timing is huge with this stuff. I'd love to hear more about this person whenever you're ready. I'm here. In the meantime, I'm sitting here next to you. I won't say anything. I'm just here. I'll refill your coffee for you. I'll go get water for you. I'll go get Kleenex for you. Whatever you need, I'm just sitting here. And whenever you're ready, I am absolutely open, willing, wanting to hear about this person only when you're ready. So don't rush it. But I'm just telling you, when the timing is right, I would love to know more about the person that you lost. What are some of your favorite memories about them? What are some of the emotions you're feeling today? What Tell me about your pain today. How's the pain doing? Tell me about the pain today. I want to understand the pain that you're feeling today. Because that pain, right? Someone that grieves is, I mean, that's especially depending on the severity and intensity of the loss, that pain can last. And here's the thing too is don't judge their journey. Don't judge their healing journey. You may say, "Oh, well, that's a small deal. Oh, you just lost your pet. Oh, it's not a big deal." But dude, you don't know the emotional connection or attachment that that person had to that pet. So don't judge someone's journey. Give them the time and space to heal. And again, by you being curious and being intentional and curious about asking questions about the loss of a loved one, pet, whatever it is, the relationship, the job, whatever, you will help them process their own emotions that they may or may not be good at processing themselves. So I like that one too. So what emotions are you feeling today? What pain are you feeling today? Help me understand the pain that you're going through today. Tell me something new that you didn't share with me yesterday about the loved one, whatever. Any new memories pop up? Any new what made you angry about them? What are some pet peeves that you had about them? Right? Just get them talking about their loved one. Get them talking about that loss, about that pain. Again, now you've got an introvert versus extrovert. So again, the introverts may take longer. So they may take days before they open up to you. They may take weeks before they open up to you. But just show consistent love, presence, stability, predictability, and curiosity that you genuinely care about them and how they're going through that experience and that you want to be there for them. So and again, do that emotional prep work so that you don't have to ride that emotional roller coaster and you're not burning emotional truckloads of energy when you're helping your friend, loved one, colleague go through an intense experience so that you can last. You will have emotional resilience and emotional endurance because you're emotionally stable and predictable and emotionally available. So you can still empathize, you can still validate and affirm the emotions that they're going through, but you're not having to do the extremes that they're going through. So which will help them and it will help you. It'll help the whole scenario, the whole situation. So hope that's helpful. Again, check out I Didn't Know What to Say book by David Knapp, or check out his website at griefreliefministries.com.